an interesting one.
Good. Hey, if you got this part of the video, you've got the live unedited edition. Home Gadget Geeks. It's Thursday night. It's about 3 minutes till 8 in the Central Time Zone. You're Eastern, right? Right, Mark?
Yep.
Yeah. So it's 8 or almost 9 in the Eastern Time Zone. If you caught this any other time than that, you've got the recorded version, and that's okay. Hang tight. We'll get started here in just a second. Not too many of you out there anyways, but welcome to the show. We'll get started here in just a second. If you are listening to the recorded version, go ahead and click the like button down there and the subscribe button that's over there. That way you never, because you're not here. I know you're not here. But you could be here. You get notified when we go live. I know I took a couple weeks off. Sorry about that, but we'll be back. We got some shows lined up going forward here. Mark Robson is with me today, and we'll get to crank it here in a minute. Mark, what are you drinking tonight? What'd you pour before you came on?
I call it a maple martini.
Oh, of course, because you're in Canada. Of course.
It's maple moonshine.
Okay.
And Tito's vodka mixed half and half.
Oh, what's the proof on the moonshine?
70 proof, 35%.
Okay. Well, that's not too bad.
So the reason I water it down with vodka is that it's a little too sweet. So if you mix it with vodka, then you can get the half the dilution of the sugar and keep the alcohol.
Okay, so maple moonshine, maple syrup that's been allowed to ferment.
I don't know how they make it. This company makes a whole series of moonshines. They make probably 15 different flavors.
Huh.
It's a company called Top Shelf Distillers.
I think we get those down here too.
Really?
Yeah. Let's hold on. Let's go Top Shelf.
I just posted in the. They're a local company to us, about an hour away. A small little company.
Top Shelf, shop now. Here, we'll throw them up on the screen.
That's them. So they're about an hour away from my house.
Oh, there we go. Some Perth whiskey. These guys. This is boutique all the way.
Yeah, dill pickle moonshine.
Mm-hmm. That's getting popular.
Yeah. They do a cocktail of the month club where they'll actually send you a complete cocktail kit through the mail. Enough to make, I think, 3 or 4 drinks where it has booze, mixers, garnishes, recipes. They're known for their butter tart.
Is this the reunion maple moonshine?
That's what I got.
Okay.
Last trip we got maple, blueberry, cream puff, and French toast.
That sounds delicious.
Moonshines, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 30% alcohol. So it's made with corn spirit, water, and maple syrup.
Oh, it's cheap too. $29 for $7.50.
Yep,
that's $29 for 26. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I could get a couple of those and get free shipping. Would they? Do you think that free shipping is down to the U.S. too?
No. It's the taxes and duty crossing the border would kill you.
Dang it!
Well, you guys have a lot more selection down there than we do.
Yeah. A quality maple production is a source of tradition and pride.
Yeah, so Lanark, which is where those guys are located, is, I think they said it was the maple syrup capital of Canada.
No, isn't every city the maple syrup capital?
Yeah. Well, this is a county. But they're known for, they have a lot of maple syrup out here.
Yeah. Oh, I bet they better, right?
Yeah.
It's Canada, for God's sakes. You can't be messing around and not having great maple syrup.
Well, did you hear about the maple syrup theft?
No.
Somebody broke into a warehouse in Quebec and stole transports of maple syrup. It was a national thing on the news.
Is it worth that much? Are they?
Oh yeah,
they're smuggling it in with wood.
No, the maple syrup is. I was paying from a guy that made it. 60-ounce bottle. I was paying $20 a piece, and that was about a third of the price it should have been. But the good maple syrup is expensive.
I've been watching a lot of YouTubers, especially here in the U.S., who are up north in the Northeast, making maple syrup. That's kind of become a big. That's kind of it's weird. Like all of a sudden, it's kind of become
it's industry. A new sourdough.
Yeah. Yes, you're right. You're right.
It's a new thing that you do.
You're right.
Well, last year we had a charcoal shortage up here. You couldn't get charcoal for barbecues.
Really?
It was a new COVID hobby. And
Make
like
it-
one of our local resellers called Canadian Tire, they do people working there that say, okay, we got a skid in, come get it. And it would just disappear as soon as it came in.
wow. What charcoal?
Charcoal.
Char.
They were selling it by the skid and they could not keep it on the shelf.
We wonder why we have runaway inflation.
Yeah.
So, well,
It was
go ahead.
it was a new hobby, right? So our rib prices went through the roof. Our brisket prices weren't bad, but like pork ribs were triple, quadruple what they were the year before.
Everybody was just grilling.
Everybody, and you get a charcoal barbecue, all you got to do ribs. So it was prices went up, supply went down. Yeah,
I believe it. I am drinking a very inexpensive bourbon called Point Rider, which we have found. We kind of went on a mission to find really good flavored, inexpensive bourbons. Like I was just tired of paying the $50 for a 750. And $12.99 here. That's about what we get it for locally.
that's good.
Or $12-13. Yeah, pretty good.
We can't for any alcohol at all for $7.50. We're paying that's 26 ounces. We're paying $1 an ounce minimum.
Yeah. Well, we still get this is the very bottom end. Like you're not going to find anything cheaper than this for the most part. And it's a good bourbon. One of the things we do with it, one is it's a good bourbon to mix with. So what I put together here tonight is and I've never heard anybody put these two together. So 2 fingers of bourbon and a splash of apple brandy.
That would be tasty.
Yeah. Pretty good. We were for my birthday, we were mixing. So we did a bourbon tasting for my birthday. We had Old Forester 1910, Old Forester 1920, which the kids bought for me. So that was this is probably $120 in bourbon right there. And then Jefferson's, which is my favorite. And then Phil, my son, brought over Russell's. And he brought over I should know what the other one is. I can't remember. So we blind tasted them and then did tasting notes and all kinds of things. Well, when we got done, we mixed the 1910 and the 1920 together. They call that a 1915. The 1910 is double barreled. So they barrel it, let it sit for 2 years. Then they put it in a new barrel. So it's really dark, very charred, right? Very charred bourbon. And then the 1920 is their Prohibition, what they were making right before Prohibition. So pretty good, pretty tasty, pretty lethal, good bourbon. So you mix the two together and you get this, they call it the 1915. And then I said, I wonder if we put if we threw a little splash of apple brandy in one of these. We had a little bit left sitting and I was like, oh my gosh, I never would have thought to put apple brandy and bourbon together. It's super tasty.
You could do it. You can get apple pie moonshine too, right?
Oh,
have you heard of that?
That's kind of what that is. Yeah.
You could toss in a little bit of apple pie moonshine into it too.
Yeah. Well, with the apple brandy and the bourbon, you get that caramel of the apple pie and you get the apple, right? I didn't think of it as like apple pie. Maybe sprinkle. You got to get a little cinnamon in there somehow.
There is a cinnamon liqueur.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the name of it, but there is a cinnamon liqueur.
Yeah.
Fireball.
Oh yeah. And we used
you can do shots of it.
Fireball's a little too sweet. We do the Tennessee whiskey. They have their own Fireball, and I forget what it's called.
I don't have a lot of brandy, bourbon, but the one I do have is a bottle of Woodford Reserve.
Oh yeah, Woodford's a good one. That's a good one.
A buddy got me that for my birthday one year.
Yeah, that's a good one. What's a bottle of that run you up there? Do you think?
I want to say $80 Canadian.
Okay. Yeah, I imagine you guys, because that's a $40 US.
Yeah, it's about the same probably.
A little bit. You're paying a little bit more, just because they got to get it across the border and all those other things.
Woodford. Oh no, it's better than I thought. 53 1/4.
Oh yeah, then it's very similar. Yeah,
And
very
then the
similar. They
double
must have a
oaked
good
is
distributor up there.
the double oaked is $70.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? I didn't really think about the double oak until we got this 1910 Old Forester 1910. And wow, like I'm not sure I'd had a double oaked bourbon before, and it's really good. It's very, very tasty.
Have you ever tried oaked beers?
I've had beers aged in bourbon barrels. If
Yeah.
that's the same, yeah, same thing, yeah.
Yeah. So up here they've done it in bourbon, whiskey, sherry. There was I know a Cooper up here, or used to know him, and he was reclaiming barrels that they used in vineyards and in distilleries,
Yeah.
and then reselling them to other places.
Yep. Oh, it's big. It's big now. What do they store maple syrup in? Could you put a maple syrup in a bourbon
I
barrel?
actually have a bottle upstairs of maple syrup that's aged in oak barrels from some liquor.
That'd be pretty good.
It was a prize at one of our chili cook-offs for the rescue, for the dog rescue.
Mm.
I think it was for the 150th bicentennial of Canada.
Okay.
So the guy that makes it's a St. Cooper, and it's just a little tiny bottle. He donated a bottle of vinegar that was $100 for 300 milliliters of vinegar.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why so expensive?
It's really high-end sherry vinegar.
Okay.
Just like the really high-end balsamics are really expensive. So it was mixed with up to 85-year-old vinegar.
Wow.
So it just kept on. They call it the angel share. So they put it in casks, let it ferment, then transfer a cask that keeps on evaporating. So the stuff you're left with is, yeah. So he donated a bottle of that, and he donated a bottle of maple syrup. But we used to see him every year. We go down there and see him, and he'd donate something, whether it was he was a cooper, but he also made furniture from his barrels.
Mm-hmm.
So every year we go down there, he'd recognize us as being the people that were down there for the dog rescue. And the more we saw him, and we'd always buy stuff too. It was like we have 3 or 4 of his vinegars up here. And then he moved about 5 hours away, so we don't see him as much anymore. He moved closer to where the distillers were and further away from the wineries.
Wonder if you put the bourbon in a barrel that had maple syrup in it first. I wonder if that syrup would have had any interaction with the wood to, probably not. It's probably too thick.
Most of the time they store the maple syrup in steel.
Yeah.
Stainless steel.
Yeah. No, I don't. But just wondering, always trying to get these. We just we made a Kentucky lemonade is what we called it, which is out of Superstition meadery in Arizona, we got their lemonade. We got their lemon mead that had been brewed with hops. So it was a bitter lemonade. Instead of it being super sweet, it was kind of bitter. You mix that 1 part with 2 parts bourbon, and you get this. We call it a Kentucky lemonade, and it tastes like bourbon that's had one of those sour lemon drops put in it. And so you get this. It's not lemonade. It's not sweet, but you get that tart. You get that really tart flavor to it. It's really good. My daughter can't stop drinking them. She likes them a lot. So that's been a good little. I need to get so much so that I need to go get another bottle of mead because we've gone through the one we've got.
We stopped off and picked up another bottle of that maple syrup or maple moonshine because I was going through it too fast. But that was the day also that we had a massive storm come through here. It made it through most of the U.S. and hit Ontario, hit Ottawa. It was traveling at 90 kilometers an hour. So that's 55 miles an hour traveling speed. And they had winds up to 180, which is 110 mile an hour winds.
Yeah, pretty. We
lost 1,500 hydro poles in the province.
Oof.
They had hydro people coming from north and south in the States. And
did you lose power?
No. Luckily, our one section of our neighborhood was the only ones that didn't lose power. We didn't lose internet, didn't lose power. Work lost internet for about 4 days. My dad lost it for about a week. Lost power for about 4 days. It took about 2 weeks to get everybody back up.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that was a major storm.
All right, let's get this thing going. Enough about us. Although we're going to just talk about food. It's going to be super good. All right, let's do this thing. Let me get this thing started. Here we go. This is the Average Guy Network, and you have found Home Gadget Geeks show number 535, recorded on June 9th, 2022. Here on Home Gadget Geeks, we cover all the favorite tech gadgets that find their way into your home. News, reviews, product updates, and conversation, all for the average tech guy. I'm your host, Jim Collison, broadcasting live from the Average Guy.tv studios here in a stormy. We've got some thunderstorms rolling through here. I think we're going to be okay tonight, but of course, you'll be okay. We'll have some world-class show notes. Any links we reference during the show might make it into the show notes. Of course, we'll post those over at the Average Guy.tv. Big thanks to Aaron Lawrence, who joined me now, I think 4 weeks ago, and took some time off. I appreciate that. My birthday, my mom passed away during that time, and so took some time off just to kind of handle all those things that you got to handle. Her funeral will be June 18th, so there may be another week in here where we're gone. But of course, we're back. Mark Robson is with us tonight, and we're here to talk barbecue. Mark, I'm so glad. I was thinking, like, oh, I almost forgot we didn't get a summer show in this year. So thanks for saying yes and coming out to talk barbecue and grilling.
That's always fun.
Yeah, it's good. Always good to have you. Anything since we caught up with you last summer, I think is the last time I had you on. Anything new in your world just as we catch up with you? Any new, especially in the grilling space? Have you picked up a new grill at all?
No, I still have my eyes open for a Yoder. That's my the holy grail for me of grills. It's probably the best one I can get up here.
Okay.
There's some equivalent or better ones in the States, but we can't get them up here easily.
What would be better? What brand names would be? What would you consider better than that?
Equivalent or better would probably be a Pits and Spits.
Oh, and what makes them better? Like what makes that?
The reputation, their ability to hold heat. I think they're double wall stainless steel. But like you, just like everything with any hobby, you can get ones that are completely over the top. Like I saw one the other day that I think was $20,000 for a pellet grill.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's just.
Does it prep the meat for you too? Is that?
Yeah, no. I asked the guy, I saw it, and like, and he goes, "Yeah, it's real price." Like it's like a Yoder up here. I think we're also getting screwed over by the importer, but the Yoder up here are about 4,000 Canadian. In the States are like 1,500, 1,800.
Okay. And you're in Ottawa, right? You're in Ottawa, Canada. Yeah.
So the people that are comparing U.S. distributors versus Canadian distributors are seeing that there's about $1,000 extra increase for the importer.
Wow. Okay. Well, we've gotten into this spot, this kind of ridiculous spot where people are asking and for crazy prices and people are paying for it. And I think I've said this before. I think some of us need to stop doing that.
Yeah. Take a breath
just to push prices back down a little bit. Like stop buying video cards and stop. I know, like buy it if you need it, of course, but all my tech purchases have basically stopped. Like it's been a little bit of my frustration with this show is I just haven't been doing as much with technology because the price of stuff's got so stupid.
Yeah.
And you were like, well, do I really want to encourage this?
Do I really need to build a new system?
Right. No, right on. And I kind of, I just bought this Mac, so I'm going to be good for a while on my main system here. But my Windows PCs, my youngest, is that my most current, it's probably 8 years old, and you think, you're like, well, that thing's getting long in the tooth. Now it runs great, 4770, it runs just fine. So like, it's got 16 gig of RAM. I've got one with 32 gig. Like, I don't need to upgrade them. Why would I pay the inflated prices right now to get that stuff?
I have a 4770 beside me, and I have a Ryzen 7 first gen 1700. So I got 4 cores, 8 threads in one, and 8 cores, 16 threads in the other. The sad part is neither one of them are supported by Windows 11.
Oh yeah, because of TPM2 and they're the generation of chips they are, right? Yeah.
So more than likely, those will get migrated to Linux when 2025 comes.
Yeah.
Like that's there's nothing wrong with the hardware. My laptop upstairs is I think a 3770Q BBQ 3770 something, 3rd gen i7.
Right.
First, all I use it for is surfing. I don't need
You
modern hardware.
You could go into the Insider program and it'll load Windows 11 for you. And then you got to deal with the constant updates. But if it's just a surfing thing and you want 11, they don't check in the Insider program. You can pretty much put it on anything. So it's kind of a way around it.
I think it's just crap that Microsoft's doing that and pushing out hardware that they consider legacy that is not.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with it for most of the people, right?
I'll be honest. I'm running Windows 11 on 2 computers. I can't tell the difference. Like I'm not.
Yeah. The only thing I'm concerned about is security patches.
Yeah, true. Now that's in 2025. You'll have to think about that for sure.
That's gonna be my concern.
Yeah. No, that's totally true. That's a good point. Mark, remind us in your stash of grills, because for a while it seemed like it was changing all the time. It's probably
I've been fairly steady lately.
Good. What do you have in the corral? What's in the corral in the stable of grills that you have?
My OG is my charcoal, my gateway drug into charcoal, and that is a Char griller Acorn that I paid $368 for, brand new. Mm-hmm. And that was
can't even find a new one for that price anymore right now.
Oh, I found one the other day, $329 US.
Oh, okay.
On Amazon.
Okay.
Still a fantastic grill.
Yeah.
I stopped using it for a while because the cast iron was becoming annoying. Every time I used it for high heat, it would actually burn off the oil burn off the seasoning. Like we would get the thing up to 800 degrees, 900 degrees, and all the seasoning would come out. So I paid $80 Canadian to get a stainless steel grill for it. And I started using it again. And I still enjoy using it. And then I have a Weber 22-inch Performer with a small cart. And then I have my big pellet smoker, which is a RecTech 680, which is probably my favorite smoker. And then I have a Broil King 400 series, which is sort of a mid-sized pellet grill from Broil King. And then I have an Uni pizza oven.
And what do you find now that you're using the most, or what's your go-to most?
I use a Broil King more than anything else because it's on my upper deck. Okay. So I have interlock.
Close.
Yeah, I have an interlock down below, and I have the Broil King up top. The top one's always going to get more use because it's close and it's smaller. So like we did bratwurst today, Oktoberfest sausage tonight, and I just went outside, fire the thing up at 360. Yeah. Have a pop on the top playing with the dogs and cook some sausages up. But we don't have a gas grill. So if we want to cook anything, it's charcoal or pellet. Mm-hmm. So most of what I cooked, I'm going to show you some pictures of tonight. Most of that has been cooked, I think, on the RecTech. I guess half and half. Typical dinners are on the Broil King, and then the bigger stuff's on the RecTech.
Just a warning. Just a warning for anybody new to Home Gadget Geeks and you haven't caught a grill and barbecue special that we're doing. One, if you're listening to the audio, you might want to I'm not saying you should shut it off, but you should head over to the video. Mark's going to show a bunch of pictures tonight. And then 2, don't watch the show hungry. So make sure you have a snack or you've eaten before you go do this. It's 8:20 in the Central Time Zone. We've already had dinner, so we're good. But you don't want to listen to this show hungry or watch it hungry. So just a warning in advance. So Mark, you've been trying to, since you and I have been doing this, and we've been doing a barbecue show since 2016. We went back and looked in the
7 years.
You and Mike Howard joined us. I miss Mike. So Mike, we miss you. You and Mike Howard came on in the very beginning, started doing this. So that's 6 years ago. You've been trying to talk me into a Weber forever. I still haven't bought one.
A gateway. It's a gateway.
I know. You, every time we do a show for a couple weeks after it, you find the Webers that I need to buy in Omaha. You find them for me. You send me the links. You're like, this is the one to buy. This is the one to buy. I haven't bought it.
I'm a catalyst. I try and just sort of feed that fire.
I know you're a grill pimp. You're just putting those things out there. But this one has been showing up in my honey list. I have a honey, it says the internet savings kind of thing. This has been showing up in there the last couple weeks, and this Pit Boss Austin XL 1,000 square inch pellet
That's a big
grill.
grill. Now I suspect if you take a look at on the inside, it's going to be about a 700 square inch main grill and then a 300 square inch upper grill. Like I think the second picture down might show you that.
Let's look here. There's the there's the
Yeah.
spec. There's right there, right?
So you can just barely see that. There's a line there going across.
Yeah.
So that's similar to what my Rectech is.
700 on the bottom, 300 on the top, so to speak, which would be fine when you're.
Yeah. You want to see what that looks like if you're actually using it?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, bring up a picture and we'll now this deal normally $500, $397. So it's about $100 off. It's at Walmart, right? And it's in stock, and it's been in stock for I think a month or two now. In other words, these aren't just flying off the shelves there. So Mark, as we talk about this, my question to you is gonna be, because this would get me into the pellet grill. I'm gas on I have a Sunbeam gas grill that's what we do 100% of the time. That's what we grill on. It works great. It's a grill I've had since 96. I've replaced all the parts 1,000 times, right? But so I'm going to ask you, Mark, at some point. We'll get your answer to the question after we look at what it looks like from your pictures.
So I'm going to show you something that's taking up about a third of the grill. I wanted to show you for some reason, my jerky picture, it won't let me load up. It says I'm running out of memory, which is a little crazy.
Maybe it's that Windows 7. I mean, Windows 10. Sorry.
Okay. Tell me I have to upload slides. Sure.
You don't have to.
You
can just share screen. Yeah, you can just share screen.
Window. That one.
There we go. We'll add that in.
Okay, so that's about a third of the screen.
Okay.
And that's about 19 pounds of pork butt.
Okay.
And that's about a third of the grill.
Is it 2 8-pounders or 2 9-pounders?
Yeah.
Was what you have in there? And it's taking up how much of the grill?
About not half. Even a third.
Okay.
Like that from side to side is about a third. I've seen people put on 8 or 10 of those on a grill at a time.
Yeah. So what you're telling me is this is too big?
No.
Oh.
Nope. There's no such thing.
This is too big for me.
Nope. You will use it. We use it, and there's only 2 of us in the house.
Right. Now, it's not Wi-Fi. No, not Wi-Fi. It does have a cooking probe. No Wi-Fi. I mean, this is kind of the
entry level.
Yeah, it's now here's the deal, Mark. As I was thinking about this, let's just talk, you and me, for a second. I was looking at the Traegers, and like $1,200, and I was thinking
they're overpriced.
Yeah, I didn't even pay that for my stove in the house that I use every day. I make coffee on. We cook dinner on it every night. I think we maybe paid $900 for that thing, maybe a little bit more. Maybe it was more like $1,000. But this grill, now you cook a lot. I don't. I mean, we cook probably every other weekend. So $1,200 was a little pricey, but at $400, all of a sudden I start kind of going, okay, maybe this is the right entry point. Maybe this is the right entry point for me to jump in to go pellet. This is the whole goal, is to go pellet and be able to control the smokes. Today, I'm using gas. I'm using the awesome smoking tube that Mike got me using. That works okay, but this gets me in the pellet space, right?
I was just trying to take a quick look and see if there's a site called Amazing Ribs, and they do product reviews of smokers. And you can they have 600 cookers that they reviewed. I'm just trying to see real quick if they have a Pit Boss. But Pit Boss is owned by Danson's. So they're giving them between silver and gold.
No. I'm using it. I'm using it every other week. I mean, and I'll be honest, I will why wouldn't I be? I will probably end up only using it half of the time. Like, so Saturday we're going to do pork butt, right? I would put it on this.
Yep.
But because then I would start it at night, let it go overnight. It, in the morning, take it off, throw it in a cooler, and let it sit the rest
Well,
of the day in the
pork butt
cooler.
for me, I'm 9 o'clock at night until 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay, so you're keeping it on there the whole time, right? So yeah,
At
so
2 o'clock, wrap it up, and then have it for dinner.
yeah. So the pellet grill would be great for that. Burgers, I'm gonna throw them on my gas grill, right? I'm gonna
You can
do
do
that.
reverse seared steaks with it too.
Yeah,
So you
right.
smoke the steak or ribeyes, and then you toss them on your gas grill to finish them.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't have to buy another propane tank. Just have to make sure I keep the hoppers. This looks like it has a fairly decent hopper size.
I'm gonna say 20 pounds, 25 pounds.
Okay. Yeah.
My big one uses about a pound an hour. So you fill it before you go to sleep. You'll get at least 12 hours out of it.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. What do you think for $400?
That's crazy.
Pretty good.
That up here is $1,000.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and you mentioned Traeger. To me, the two best marketing companies in the barbecue industry are Traeger and Big Green Egg.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows them.
Mm-hmm.
They're almost synonymous with pellet grilling is Traeger. Big Green Egg is Komodo's, but there's a lot of other and I got to be careful because people tend to be a little fiercely loyal to their stuff. I've used a bunch of different ceramic eggs, and I've seen some other ones I like more than Big Green Egg, but it's everybody's personal preference.
Yeah.
And same thing with the Traegers. I've had Traegers, I've had Broil Kings, I've had Rectecs. I want to get a Yoder. My favorite one so far has been the Rectec. The thing is built like a tank. It holds. I'll just show a quick shot here. It is having a hard time with this with my files tonight. I'm gonna try closing this window down, and reopening it. The window viewers having a hard time.
Huh. Well, hopefully we want to show some pictures, so let's get that. Let's try and get that fixed.
I'll copy it on my desktop.
While you're doing that, I will. I'll bring up the grill I was looking at, and probably Ace Hardware, not, I mean, they've gotten better, but not always the cheapest, place to go. But this was kind of an example of, the Ironwind 650, now a smaller grill, right?
Double
wall and Wi-Fi enabled, right?
Yeah,
So
and I think it's also got a DC motor in, if I remember right.
Yeah. So the ability to, it is a decent upgrade. 4 times, 4, 8, 12.
No,
3 times the price, right?
Go to Rectec Grills. No, they just had a price increase, but I still think they're cheaper.
Okay. Well, still the point is, I don't know if I wanted to, right now in those high-end grills, they're like, over $1,000, and I'm just really struggling to reward, to reward inflation or reward those high-end ones, especially in kind of the current environment. But I would like to get, I mean, this is the area I had kind of set 500 as my budget. I started looking at the 1,000 ones, and Sarah was like, "Didn't you look at one that was like 500?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess I did." And then, this is one of the areas where I was thinking, "Oh, it would really be nice to have the Wi-Fi." Okay, I've got the meter, right? I've got the meter. I'm more worried about the meat than I am anything else. I can measure that via Wi-Fi, right? I can get that. I can get the actual meat temperature if I'm worried about that. So
you also need to worry about the pit going out, because you can get on the pellet hoppers, you can actually get a case where you're getting sort of a reverse avalanche, where the pellets start getting jammed up in the top of the auger and they won't start flowing down.
Okay.
Right. So as the pellets go down the middle of it, you end up having a wall of pellets on the outside that aren't flowing down. It's almost like a static jam. And so every once in a while you want to go through there and give them a bit of a shake. So you want to get an alert if your pellets if your pellet grill starts dropping below temperature.
Okay.
Now what was I looking for? Oh yeah, rec tech temperature. So that was my temperature gauge last time. So that's the commanded temperature versus actual temperature. And you can see it's pretty much bang on. And when there is a discrepancy, it's when I open the lid up. But that's the red line is actual temperature, and the white line is the commanded temperature. And that was over 12 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And then the gray line at the bottom is the meat temperature.
Much more gradual.
Yeah, that's one of the things I love about my about the RecTech. I'm not sure if that worked or not. I also managed to get the jerky. So let's see if I can share this. So that's about 3/4 of the grill, maybe a little more. So you can see how big a 680 square inch grill is.
Mm-hmm. And so, what do you got on there for the audio listeners? What do you got cut on there?
That is brisket jerky.
Okay.
Brisket teriyaki jerky. So I bought 30 pounds of brisket. I pulled off, I think, 8 pounds of lean flat to make into jerky. I made, I think it's 7 pounds of fat, 9 pounds I ground up into ground beef, and I think 12 pounds that I made into a dish called pepper stout beef. So I basically took 2 briskets and then chopped them up into a bunch of little pieces.
Mm-hmm. And then you put them on the grill, and what temp and for how long?
Marinate them first for 2 days.
Okay.
So they got marinated in a soy sauce recipe I found on a site called Hey Grill Hey. And then they're on the grill for about 5 hours a batch, and I had 2 batches. So I cooked for about 10 hours that day.
At what temp?
180.
Okay. So pretty cool.
Yeah, about as low as I can make it.
Right. And the smoke on.
Yeah, at 180 it does what's called super smoke. So it actually, on the RecTech, they actually pulse the fan. So by pulsing the fan, they get a whiff of smoke and then it stops, and a whiff of smoke and it stops. Because if you just continually blow on it, it ends up turning into a fire.
What do you think? Yeah. What do you think? Cost wise, jerky's gotten expensive in the store.
Yeah.
Like I went to go buy some the other day. I'm like, $10 a package? Like, really? What do you think in this kind of scenario? Is this definitely a cheaper way to go jerky? Because you got a bunch of stuff out of that brisket, right?
Yeah, I did. I paid $120 Canadian, so about $90 US for the jerky. I got 7 pounds, 5 pounds of finished jerky. I got 9 pounds of ground beef, and I got 12 pounds of pepper stout beef that turned into 9 pounds of meat. So I got a lot of meat out of it for
the price of $120. Yeah.
And if I'd wanted to, I could have gotten more jerky out of it. But what I do with the brisket's got the flat part by itself, and then it's got the flattened point on top of each other.
Right.
So I trim the flat part back until it just gets into the flattened point joining. And then the rest of that stuff I grind up or make another roast out of it. I don't kill myself.
How long does it take you to cut all that meat?
It was about an hour and a half.
Okay.
Those are all hand cut. I don't use any. I got friends that did it with a meat slicer.
Mm-hmm.
Like when they're doing bacon, they do the same thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, bacon would be. Well, hand cutting bacon could be labor intensive. Yeah. Yeah. To get that done. To get it.
This is what I started out with.
Okay, so that's the what we're showing is the brisket in the box.
Yeah, Packer briskets, 2 Packer briskets.
Fairly, and you're saying so 120 for both of those?
Yeah, it was $4 a pound.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Yeah, so about $3.30 for you guys.
Yeah. Do you do much pork loin? Where you get the whole.
Yep.
You get the whole one
too. We were on a a kick where I was doing a lot of pineapple. So I got a couple of dishes with that.
Because I'm kind of thinking, as you're finding that, I'm kind of thinking, for the average consumer, it used to be. I mean, meat. I'm not going to say meat was cheap, but it had gotten, reasonable. But I think it's back to unreasonable again, depending upon the cuts. If you're buying cuts, but if you're
Pork
buying,
loin is cheap. We're
if you're
paying
buying,
$2 a
yeah,
pound,
right,
$2.50 a pound.
right.
So that is a sweet and sour pork skewer with pineapple cilantro rice. And the rice was done in the Instant Pot. So that was one weekend. And then, let's see if I can get to this. Looking through here, trying to find the picture I'm looking for. That wasn't it. Sorry.
You're making me hungry just going through the pictures.
Them. There we go. This was pork loin. Oh, sorry. This was pork belly. Pork belly burnt ends with grilled pineapple. I thought I had another pork loin one, but it's. I'm trying to figure out where it went to.
Well, and I'm considering buying bigger cuts and then cutting them, bringing them home and cutting them down. And, to your point, we can, if I can get a brisket, make some good hamburgers out of it, make some.
Brisket burgers are phenomenal. They're one of the tastiest.
I assume you have a meat grinder
on our KitchenAid.
Okay. Oh.
So it's a thing that mounts on the front of the KitchenAid.
Yep. No, I think we've talked about that before.
So that's the brisket burgers we did last weekend. I forgot to take a picture of them when they were being prepped. Those were 310 grams each raw, which is 3/4 of a pound. And they're about the size of my palm and about maybe 3/4 of an inch thick. They shrank down to the perfect size for a bun. We got these brioche buns. They shrank down to the perfect size for the bun, and they're about an inch thick when they're done. Because there's so much fat in them that the fat renders out and makes them shrink up quite a bit. But they were probably a third of a pound, maybe a little bigger when they're done.
Yeah,
after they shrink all the way down.
So you want to make them pretty big because they're pretty fatty to start with.
Yeah, they're extremely fatty, but they're tasty.
Yeah, no, I'm getting hungry even though I ate before we start. I imagine so tonight we had spaghetti and meatballs, and Sarah had made. We just oven baked the meatballs, but I imagine you could throw some meatballs on the smoker cook those up pretty easily, right?
Over the top chili.
Yeah,
you can actually do your spaghetti sauce on the smoker. So you make a big massive meatball and you put it on a grill over top of your pasta sauce and you let it smoke, and all the fat that renders out of it goes into your spaghetti sauce as seasoning.
There you go.
The recipe's called Over the Top Chili, but you can do the same thing with spaghetti. Yeah. And we actually did that when we were doing our kitchen reno. I made massive turkey meatballs. So like 2-pound turkey meatballs, and smoked them. And I did 2 for chili and 2 for spaghetti. And they were about the size of a cantaloupe, and cooked them up till they're done, chopped them in half, tossed them in the freezer. And then we wanted to have chili over the winter. We chopped the thing up into pieces, tossed it into the crock pot. That was our meat for a chili.
Yeah. Something certainly to think about because, with, steak tips being, $18 a pound, or, some of those, we can still find. Now it's been a while. I haven't gone out in a couple weeks, but I was still able to find some, bacon wrapped sirloins fairly reasonable, right? That's been a good buy to throw on the grill. But I tell you, we have not, maybe over the last year, we haven't done as much steak. We did a lot of steak kind of pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
And so then much less. I think because we just haven't been shopping as less. And I think because we've been doing pickup more. And we were always buying the steaks when we were going.
Yeah, you don't have that instant need that, it's on sale, or I found a good deal on one.
Yeah, you're like,
We tend to look for
Wrap those
deals.
steaks up for me.
We tend to look for deals. So I think we found these chickens for $7 a piece.
Are they just fryers or were they just whole chicken, right?
Yeah, just whole chickens. So
Yeah.
my wife did a lot of marinade. I cooked it on the grill, and then she did a stir fry. And then for the picture, we put it on top of the stir fry. But that was delicious, juicy.
How long on the chicken?
It was maybe an hour.
Okay.
We tend to do everything by temperature, right? So I couldn't tell you exactly how long it is. I stick a probe in it, and when it hits 165 degrees, I know it's done.
Yeah. Yeah. No, listen, Mark, you have completely changed. I mean, since you and I have been talking about this, you have taught me to go temperature only, and I've taught my kids now. Like, it's not a time thing. You're just checking when it's done, which makes for interesting planning, right? Because you need to go. I mean, the other thing you taught me was, especially on the big cuts, like a turkey or a pork shoulder, or some of those, even the chicken probably would do. Get that thing done early, wrap it, and throw it in the cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah, my brother did that. We were just down in Oklahoma last weekend. He did a pork butt and finished it. I think he finished it at midnight, wrapped it up, threw it in the Yeti cooler, and then pulled it out 10 a.m. the next morning. And of course, it was still it loses no temperature in there.
It helps. It helps. It just starts to relax.
Yeah.
The biggest temperature one I did was New Year's Eve. We did one that finished at 5 o'clock in the morning. It was minus 30 Celsius. So like minus, what's that, like 32 Fahrenheit? Like down that temperature, they're pretty close to the same temperature.
They're close. At 40,
they're both cold.
40, they meet.
They're cold. Yeah. So 5 o'clock in the morning, I had to go out in my pajamas and pull this pork shoulder off the grill because it was done early. I wrapped it in foil in the cooler, tossed it in the kitchen. At 10 a.m., we drove to Montreal, which is 2 hours away, and it was in the trunk of the car. So we wrapped at 5, transported at 10. We had it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was still over 160 degrees.
Yeah.
So it travels well. Brisket does the same thing. Even steaks have done that with it. If they're done a little bit early, we just wrap them in foil and take it in the oven at 150 and just let them sit there.
Would you even consider, say you were taking some steaks somewhere?
Yeah.
Would you consider getting them to temperature, wrapping them, then when you get there, sear them?
No, because I don't spend enough time on a steak.
Okay.
And you can do a decent steak on a gas barbecue if it gets hot enough.
Yeah. That's true. They go pretty fast, right?
Now I have done it. We did for a friend's wedding. It was a potluck for her wedding, and I told her I'd bring pulled pork, and I cooked the pork overnight. I think it pulled off at 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. And her potluck was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I pulled it at her place. So I made the sauce ahead of time. I had the pork shoulders ready to go. I brought them to her house with my pulling forks, and then I pulled it at her place. So I kept it all nice and moist until then.
Yeah.
We have a friend's cottage that we go to, and as a way of thanks for letting us go to the cottage, we bring up food. So last year we brought up 5 pounds of pulled pork in freezer bags, like vacuum bags. And we reheat that in boiling water. Mm-hmm. So just take the freezer bag, toss it in boiling water, let it come to temperature, and we made nachos one night and sandwiches next.
Mm.
So this year when we go up, we're going to be doing a salt, pepper, garlic, pork belly Asian salad. Because they came over to see us to talk about the summer plans a couple months ago, and we made it with a homemade peanut sauce, and the guy liked it so much he went back for seconds, even though there was no meat left. And his girlfriend said, "Yes, he's going back for seconds. He likes it."
Yeah.
Actually,
I was just thinking the like I said, the meatballs we made tonight would have been an easy roll.
Very easy on the grill.
Throw them on the pellet. Let them cook to temperature, and that's kind of what we did tonight too. Is she had the top rack? We'd check the temperature when it hit it. They would, we just pull them.
That's that Asian pork belly salad we make. So
Yeah,
that's a
looks
base
good.
of like cooked Asian noodles, coleslaw, Asian greens, SPG pork belly, peanut sauce, and then some garnish. And then behind it, can you see this little thing on the top?
Mm-hmm.
You know what that is?
Mm-mm. Looks like an Oreo.
Bacon wrapped Oreo.
Is that good?
Oh, it is phenomenal.
Really?
Yeah. We did it with Oreos, we did it with Cinnabon Oreos, and we did it with maple cookies. And wrapped and smoked, and a little bit of barbecue rub on them. And yeah.
All right. So hold on. Just a straight Oreo.
Straight Oreo. Wrap it in
Then
half a strip of bacon.
half a strip.
Put seasoning on top of it, barbecue rub,
Okay.
and then put it on indirect heat until the bacon's crispy.
I've never heard of that.
It is deadly.
Huh. So what happens to the filling? Does
The
it
whole cookie gets soft. Like you can actually
Yeah.
see it sort of looks. This is the only one that's left out of 12. I had to take a picture before they all disappeared. But you can see that the bacon constricts a little bit.
Yeah.
And it starts to reshape the cookie.
Right.
So the whole thing becomes nice and warm, but it all holds its shape.
Mm-hmm.
It was on a bunch of forums, and I tried it, and we tried it twice, and it's like, wow, like this is, yeah.
That's an easy one.
That's an easy one.
That's an easy one to do for sure. Wow, I never thought of putting those. What would you double stuff it, or just a single?
The first time we did regular, the second time we did double stuff.
Okay.
But I think my favorite ones are probably the Cinnabon ones. So you get Cinnabon Oreos,
Yeah,
and then wrap them in bacon.
Well, they've got those bacon donuts, where it's maple, right? Maple icing, and then the donut on top, so you get that
and then
sweet
bacon piece on top of that.
Yeah. I guess we do that. Oftentimes we'll take bacon and with pancakes, and you then
Bacon
put
makes
the
everything
bacon
better.
syrup, right?
Everything's better with bacon, right?
So Tim in the chat says, "Wait, the bacon's cooked before it's wrapped around the cookie?
Raw bacon around a cookie."
That just doesn't sound right.
Yeah,
that just does not. Okay, so just wrap it and then cook it indirect until it's crispy, is what you're saying. What is that a 10-minute deal, or
no? You're looking on smoke. You're looking about an hour.
Oh, that long?
45 minutes to an hour.
That long? Okay.
Yeah, it's cooked. Like the bacon's fully cooked,
and the cookie's not gonna. The heat's not gonna do anything to the cookie. It'll make it soft.
Yeah. You get bacon grease going into the cookie.
Yeah.
So you get it's just the whole thing just becomes delicious.
Sarah, bacon wrapped Oreos. What do you think? And then she says it sounds pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
I need to take some of this.
Okay. All right. That's fine. Well, that is okay. Yeah. Tim in the chat says, okay, got to try that. That may be the takeaway from the show tonight is bacon wrapped Oreos. Like, no. It's smoked on the grill about an hour till the bacon's crisp. No. Mark says it makes it taste great. Yeah. Yeah, he's done it. He's showing a picture. Yeah. Sarah's in. Now I got to get that pellet grill.
Now you got to get the grill. That's your excuse for getting it. You couldn't do that on your Kenmore.
No. That would.
That's probably the biggest benefit of a pellet grill is that you can put whatever you want onto it. Like this stuff.
Is everything indirect on a pellet grill, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless there are some models that have a slider that you can move out the way to get the direct flame. But if you look at, trying to see if I have any pictures of it when I'm cooking it. Well, this is the stuff that I cooked. So that's pork belly, which is one of the fattiest cuts of meat you can get.
It's around where they cut the bacon, right?
It's what they make bacon out of.
Right.
So it's like bacon, but thicker, right? So it's about 1 inch cubed, and then the full length of a piece of bacon. So that was 2 different batches done. The front jar is that my buddy Canadian spokesman Sean that was on the show last year, and the back one is SPG. So I cooked those up for about 6 or 7 hours on the grill, and then I freeze them, and then we pull them out as we want to use them. So that was what was on that Asian salad.
You do a lot overcooking or cook in big batches, divide it up, freeze it, and then bring it back out, right? You do that a lot, don't you?
There's only 2 of us in the house,
right?
So you buy 30 pounds of brisket, you got to make it last.
Or buy a smaller brisket, but that's probably harder, right? Because
you can't get that much smaller, right? That's
right.
But by vacuum sealing it and actually right here, so still sharing, yeah. So by vacuum sealing it, that's 9 pounds of brisket ground beef, and you can see in some of the bags how much fat there is in this stuff, right? Like it's fatty meat. But as somebody said,
it's not 90% lean.
No, fat is flavor. But that was 9 pounds. So that was one section of the briskets that we just ground up and made 4 2-pound bags and a 1-pound bag.
Right.
And we'll use that for burgers, or we'll use that for tacos, or whatever we want to.
Do I have to vacuum seal it? Can I just use Ziploc bags that I try and get all the air out of? Or
you can. We just vacuum seal it because we have a vacuum sealer, and we could be having them in there for, like, we've done vacuum seal that's 2 years old, right? It just stops the freezer burn.
Yeah, one of the things we've done, we did some of that overcooking, and then we're like, oh, we'll freeze the extra and put it in there. Then we forget to go back and get it. And so, like, I had a soup that I made some split pea soup. I don't know, maybe January of 2021. So, like 18 months ago. And they just been sitting in the freezer. And, we laid them flat so that they would you could stack them, right? And the intent was, like, for lunch, you just grab it,
grab and go,
warm it back up in the microwave, and you'd be so. But then you got to almost, at least for me, you almost got to plan for that. Like, I need to add that. I need to have a day where I say, okay, Fridays are our freezer days, where the meal is going to come from the freezer, so that we use some of that.
We tend to do less whole meals, unless it's something like a casserole or a chili or a spaghetti or something.
Right.
We tend to do more of the protein for the meal.
Right.
That
makes sense. You don't want to freeze. I mean, the protein freezes the easiest, and
and it thaws the fastest too.
Right. And
this stuff,
veggies are not good frozen, to be honest. I mean,
no, they don't thaw nicely.
Yeah, we did frozen tonight, and it's been a long. HelloFresh has got us baking veggies so much, right? Which is just better than steaming. At least me, I think they're tastier. And go ahead. What do you got there?
That's a chunk of brisket that was left from that brisket butchering that I did. So that was about 12 pounds, 10 pounds of brisket. That then got put on a bed of veggies after. So it gets cooked like that until 160. Then gets put on a bed of vegetables and a can of Guinness and Worcester sauce.
Oh.
And then braised. And then after 13 hours of cooking, it turns out like that.
When you say braised, what do you mean by
that? So you take this chunk of meat, you put it on top of the pan of veggies, you cover the entire thing in foil, and you seal it up.
Okay.
So it basically steaming. The vegetables are steaming at the same time as the meat's cooking.
Got it.
The juice comes out of the meat. The vegetables reduce down. So that whole pan and all that meat turned into that, which is half the pan.
Over how long and at what
13
temp?
hours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Cooking veggies for that long.
The veggies are cooked for about 6.
Okay.
6 or 7.
Yeah.
So this got put on at 6 a.m. Actually, I can tell you because of the graph. So that got put on at 6 a.m. Yeah. And if we look at the graph, that's a 5:54. And then at 1:30-ish, I started braising it.
Where's this temperature coming from again?
My Rectech.
Okay, the grill. These are grill temps.
Yeah, well, grill and meat temps. It has so the Rectech has a grill RTD and 2 meat RTDs.
Okay.
So I think this was my smoke, and then I braised it, And then I think I read up that I should have turned it up to 350. Yeah. So when I wrapped it, it was right here. So that's about 2:30. So between 2:30 and 5, and it actually continued and it was done at 6:30. So I think at 5 I unwrapped it, and then you end up making this meat sauce. So you have a lot of meat and a lot of juice still. And then every half hour you put it back on the grill at 350, and every half hour you go and stir it, and that helps evaporate out the rest of the meat or the juice.
Mm-hmm.
That is my wife's number one most requested meal, and that's called pepper stout beef. And then
what's the beef temperature when you're done?
203.
Okay.
Roughly. It's again, it's probe tender. So
right.
A buddy of mine uses a chopstick, and he says when you can push the chopstick in with no resistance, it's ready.
Got it.
So I used my meat thermometer and I just probed into it. It didn't pull as nicely as I wanted, so I just chopped it. There's no harm, no foul in doing that.
Right.
And that was a sandwich the first night. And then we packaged that up, and I think we have 9 pounds of that stuff in the freezer. And we'll use it for shepherd's pie, for spaghettis, for tacos, for nachos, for sandwiches, wraps, whatever we want.
Yeah. Do you package them in like 1 pound bags? Or?
Yeah, depending on what it is. This is typically 1 pound, maybe 1.5 pounds.
Right.
So you might
That's
get
just
a
the meat.
meal.
What we're seeing on the screen is just the meat, right? The vegetables are off by this point.
No, vegetables are in there.
Okay, they're all mixed in. Okay.
Yeah. So this and this gets combined together and reduces down to that.
Yeah.
So you can see, I'm not sure if you see my mouse or not, but you can see some red in the middle of it, and then you can see a little bit of green from the green peppers, and mushrooms are reduced into there too.
The meat by this point is just disintegrated,
Yeah.
right? Disintegrated into the veggies. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, that sounds good.
But
that's an all-day cook, right?
That's an all-day cook, and that's one that you have to babysit.
Yeah.
Like a pulled pork, you don't. A pulled pork you throw on and you pull it off when it's done. That dish you have to babysit it so you smoke it until 160. Then you braise it until it goes probe tender. Then you pull the meat or chop the meat, mix it in with all the veggies, and then you put it back on the grill until it gets the right temperature, or right consistency. Sorry. So you want it to be a bit like a paste and not real wet.
Yeah.
I made that probably a dozen times at least.
Yeah. Any Mark, any new, as we kind of bring this in for a landing, any new tech that you've added to your grilling stuff?
I bought something that I haven't used yet. I bought we talked about Inkbird before.
Yeah, and that's what I went with for a thermometer, instant read.
So they just came out with a new one. I can see if I can find my order for it. It was a Inkbird Bluetooth probe. So it looks just like my regular one, but let's see if I can do this. Sure. Okay. Yeah. So Bluetooth probe, dual probes, instant read, 328-foot range.
You have honey alerts set up too. I see.
Yeah. Yeah. So I haven't used this yet, but I picked it up when there was a coupon on it a little while ago. So instant read, as well as Bluetooth, as well as I think it's waterproof too. Maybe not. But for $37 as a backup probe, it just seemed stupid not to get it.
Does it have? So it's got probes with it too, right? So it's not only instant read, but then you could leave it outside the grill or leave it outside the oven, run the probes in, right?
Yep.
Joe says he went with the Wi-Fi version. What would be the advantage of Bluetooth versus Wi-Fi? Do you think for that?
There's none. I think that Wi-Fi is a better solution. I went with this one. I already have Wi-Fi probes. I have the ThermoWorks Smoke Wi-Fi, which is, to me, is the cat's meow. It's arguably the best one you can get, but you pay for it.
Yeah.
I bought it when they didn't even have a Wi-Fi bridge, and I think I paid $150 for the Wi-Fi bridge when it came out. But it's they make instant read thermometers that are $100 a piece. But for I have 3 or 4 of these instant reads, and they're what I go to every time. They charge up with USB-C. If they get left out in the rain, I'm not overly worried because they're $15 a piece. But they also have a small, a very fine point on them, which means that they react fairly quickly. Like again, we did Oktoberfest sausage tonight, and I just probed them before I was done. Stick them in the end of it, make sure they're 155, and they're pull them off. The old way was you used to cook them until they crack, and then they're all dry and
Yeah, you'd always overcook them.
Yeah,
we have that. We bought that orange, instant read thermometer and ThermoWorks, I think, right?
Maybe you got the ThermoWorks one.
I think I got well, it doesn't matter. The point is that it, man, we use that every meal.
Yeah,
every meal, right? Pull that out. Where's the meat at? Boom. You don't overcook the chicken. You don't.
There's nothing better than a properly cooked, like just at the point where it's safe, not overly cooked and dried.
Right.
Especially with a pork that's already dry.
The other habit I've gotten into is setting a rest timer. So pull those things out, set the rest timer, put it down. It feels weird because you're like, oh, it's getting cold. No, it's resting. Like it'll be just fine. Trust me, it'll be just fine.
Wrap it in foil. Yeah. Worst case, you put it in an oven at the same time at like 150.
Yeah. Sometimes I just throw it on top of the stove. Our stove, if we're baking vegetables, so to speak, at the same time, or potatoes, right? It's got a vent on the one side that there's heat coming out of. So you just toss that underneath the vent, and it keeps them warm enough. I don't need chicken that's going to burn my tongue. Like it tastes good, kind of warm.
We have we got a new stove with when we did a kitchen reno, and it's got a vent. It's one of these stoves that's got all the dials at the front. So it's got a vent at the back that comes out from the oven and goes onto the cooking surface. And I've toasted bread before on that vent. I've taken buns and put them on the vent and got it nice and toasted.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of heat coming out of those.
Well, last night we made, I think this must have been an In-N-Out Burger inspired hamburgers from HelloFresh. And they make
Thousand Island or something.
Thousand Island dressing. Yeah. You make like 1,000 Island, but grilled onions, and then put the onions in the sauce. And we took the buns, and so we cooked the onions first, and then threw the hamburgers in that. Took the onions out. Don't wipe it out. Just then put the burgers in. Then when the burgers were done, throw a little butter on the buns and throw the buns in once on top of what the burgers just came out of. We drained some of the fat off, so it wasn't like it was just soaking up fat.
Tasty.
Oh man. And get that pan super hot so it toasts it quick, so the top of the bun is super soft, and then you get the toast. Oh, Mark, it was so good. And then we roasted potatoes, so potato fries, and we bought some Freddy's potato seasoning. Yeah, threw that on there when they came out. It was so good. Like it was so
I didn't do a lot of cooking last year on the grills. Like I said, when COVID was hitting and we weren't doing entertaining, we didn't do a lot of cooking, but it feels good to be getting behind it again.
Yeah.
I had a mini victory this last week. It's not a greatest picture, but I hadn't used my Acorn in probably 6 months. I walked up to it, I fired it up, I set the dials, and I walked away from it. So this has got a top vent and bottom vent, and I wanted to hit 350. And I posted that on my Facebook page on the local Ottawa barbecue group, because there's about like 2,000 people on it. I'm like, only charcoal grillers know the satisfaction of setting your vents and walking away and hitting your desired temp, like bang on. I think I'm like 349 or something on that one, but a little bit of satisfaction about knowing your grill.
Yeah. See, that's a whole nother level for me to get back. And I grew up on charcoal. We had a Weber. My dad didn't know how to grill, and so I figured out how to, and we do burgers and dogs, like not a lot, but it's a lot more work. I
had this discussion with my dad the other night. When we had the power outage, we had him over for a steak dinner. We'd already planned on having him over, but it worked out well that he couldn't cook anyways. And he has a nice Weber propane grill. And he said, well, it's just so much easier with my grill to get up and running. I'm like, well, my Acorn, I was 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I put on gloves. So
Yeah.
if I'm dealing with a charcoal, I don't get my hands covered in soot.
Right.
I lit the thing 15 minutes later, I was grilling on it.
Yeah. No, that's true. Because it's
it wasn't a
insulated
lot
still.
of, yeah, it
Yeah.
it is dirtier. There's no denying it. You're working with charcoal, but I'm not allowed. I don't lift my wife a lot, but I'm not allowed to have another gas grill now. So
Do you got your eyes? Is there anything in the future that you got your eyes on that you're kind of
Yoder,
wait? Okay, a Yoder.
Ideally a Yoder 480.
Okay.
Nice size, heavy, built like a tank, an absolute tank. They last forever. They're about like 3/16 inch steel, 1/8 steel. They're known for making smokers and then made pellet grills. So that their history is smokers. And I'm looking at probably the smallest one they make. Yeah, so that's the 640. And that thing's an absolute beast.
It looks like a beast.
Yeah.
It's also it has the price of a beast. I think they're $3,000 to 2680 on this one.
So that one over here, I think is $4,500, $4,300.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. On a competition cart. I like this.
Yeah. So that
Yeah.
cart, the competition cart is that orange thing at the bottom.
Right.
So normally it comes with spindly legs, but the competition cart's designed for you to allow you to roll in and out of the trailers. But they make one a little bit smaller than that. They make the 480.
And these are pellets?
Yeah.
Are these okay? Let's see if we can find.
So that first one right there. That's the 640. That's the 640 regular. Then the 640 built in. There's the 480.
Right there. So $2,000 US.
Yeah. So last time I looked at those over here, they were 2,300 Canadian.
Mm. Yeah, there's a little bit of a tax on there. There's a little bit of a Canada tax.
Yes.
For
the other part of that is if you look at that and you look at the weight of it versus looking at the weight of the Pit Boss, it's about 3 times the weight for the small one.
Yeah.
Like they are built like tanks. So there's the type of thing where it's the last grill you ever buy.
It's look at this 10-year grill body warranty.
Yeah.
At the bottom here. 10 years.
Well, you see that bar on top of the door?
Up here?
That's a balance bar. That's to help you open the door.
Because the lid's so heavy.
Because the lid's heavy.
Oh, that's hilarious. Let's look. Here's a picture.
So this one has a sliding grate, I believe, that allows you to sear stuff.
Lid up. There's with the bin up, the pellet bin.
And expanded steel. So it's got 2 racks on it.
Yeah.
The main rack and then an expanded steel upper rack.
I don't find a front rack very helpful to me, but that's just me.
I use mine just about every time I use a grill.
Do you?
I walk over there with a plate full of food and put it down on it. Then I lift the lid up and then I can.
I always go to the side racks for that. I don't know why that is.
Well, if it's juicy, you don't really want to be lifting over the top of the side.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. If it's in a marinade and stuff, it's easier if you're just going straight across.
Right.
But that's
your
when
wish.
I bought my last grill, there was a 480 for sale for the same price as the one I bought. And I have some friends that have a couple of Broil Kings and they love them. And Broil King's a great company. So I figured, okay, I'll give it a try. I'm not as happy with it as I thought it would be. And their app is terrible. RecTech's app is phenomenal. So I've seen what apps can be like. And I think they've recognized it and they've started doing some beta testing on a new Apple version, an iOS version, but the Android version isn't out yet. I believe that you shouldn't be advertising something until it's works.
Yeah.
Like when RecTech released their stuff, it's been, other than alerts not quite working, the actual app itself worked great. The Broil King hasn't. There's been problems with Android. There was problems with Apple. They fixed the Apple. They're still waiting on the Android.
Yeah. That is a caution when you're buying, especially if you're buying an off-brand that has the Wi-Fi. You might want to read the reviews on the app because that could be where they cheat.
And I think on the Pit Boss, you can actually buy an upgraded controller if you want to add Wi-Fi.
I think so.
So if you buy it and you just say, you know what, I like this and this is perfect for size and everything else is great about it, I just want to get Wi-Fi. Like I've done things like turn down my meat temperature when in the middle of the barbecue store buying rub.
Right.
So, but I use it more for alerts than anything else, right?
Right.
Oh,
No,
crap,
right on. Right on.
there's a pellet jam. I need to make sure I go out there and get the thing going again. Or you don't want to wreck a $75 brisket because you ran out of fuel because you didn't run out of fuel. But
I usually watch the meat temp, and that can kind of tell me, if it stalls, I better go out and check it, right?
But overnight you won't check it.
No, it's true. It's true.
That's when it's going to happen, right? Murphy's Law. It's going to jam in the middle of the night.
You're right. This is a crazy look at the cover.
Yeah.
For this thing, that looks like somebody had to hand sew that thing to.
Yep.
That's
because the shelves don't fold over.
If I get this Pit Boss, do I get a cover for it?
Yes.
Okay.
It's going to make it last, right?
Okay.
I've had a cover for one of my grills. Most of my grills are still in pretty good condition. I don't clean the outside a lot, but they're still. My Acorn is, I think it's got to be close to 9 years old this year, 8 or 9 years old. It's still lasting. I'm on my third cover. Most people have them. They wear after 3 years. So whatever I'm doing with this thing is working.
Yeah.
And it's still a lot of fun. I don't do my pizzas on it anymore because actually I'll show you that real. Where did my pizzas go? I'll show you that real quick if I can get the picture to come up. Yeah. Sure.
I saw your pizza earlier, I think, in there.
I think I gotta stop sharing first and then share. So that was 4 pizzas that were done, about 90 seconds a piece.
Oh wow. Okay,
yeah.
And so what'd you have in the smoker?
No, in a thing called an Uni pellet grill, Uni pellet pizza oven.
Okay, so it's a dedicated pizza oven.
Yeah, it's dedicated pizza oven, runs off of pellets. Those are, I think, about 12-inch pizza crust, pizza peels, and it just fits one of those perfectly. But it's running 800, 900 degrees in there.
Is it spinning inside, or do you have to?
No, you have to spin it.
You got to spin it. Okay,
so you put it in, you wait 45 seconds, then you open the lid up, spin it around, and put it back in again.
Yeah.
But they were tasty. We had a whole production line. So I was outside cooking. Our neighbors came over and the wives were making it, and we were spinning them, and and it was ultra thin crust, and yeah.
Do you find thin crust is better for a pizza oven as opposed to, because it goes so fast, as opposed to trying to do something? Okay.
Yeah.
Something.
If you're cooking it in the oven or even on the Acorn and you're not going as hot, like 600 degrees or 500 degrees, you can get away with a thicker crust. But when these things are cooking in 90 seconds, it's literally 90
crust?
seconds. What's that?
Can you do a pre-made crust on those where
Yep. Well, actually, I think that was actually pre-made crust.
These were?
Yeah, not pre-made, like pre-formed, but I think we went to a local grocery store that has a stone-baked pizza oven in the entrance of the store. So you can buy pre-made stone-baked pizzas, or you can actually buy a kit, and the kit comes with the dough and the sauce and pepperoni.
Okay.
And I think we actually bought that dough and made our pizzas up.
I was thinking, you get those pre-made pizza.
Oh, like a Delicio or whatever.
Yeah.
Papa John ones are really popular.
A lot. Yeah.
On the barbecue forum, people buy Papa John's and cook them on their Traegers all the time.
Yeah, we do that too. I have to give that a try.
Yeah,
leave it on the paper, right, when they put it in there, because I
probably wouldn't. I would put it right in the grill.
Okay.
But the nice thing is you're getting the wood fire, right?
Right.
So even if you only cook it at 400 or 450 versus cooking at a higher temperature on the gas, you're getting the wood smoke cooking it.
Right.
But yeah, Papa John ones are really. I think you can buy Papa John's uncooked.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, Papa Murphy's. Well, our take and bake is Papa Murphy's.
Okay.
So yeah.
But same idea where you're taking home
exact idea.
Yeah, and you toss it on the grill and cook it up, and
I think they're better. Papa Murphy's I think is better than Papa John's, and it's take and bake. So they almost know us by first name. we get pizzas from them quite a bit, and they're cheap. I mean, it's one of those things, and the prices haven't gone up with inflation. So it's
So what
like,
you should do is if you get
No.
your Pit Boss, do one on the gas, one on the Pit Boss, and
You're
then do a
right.
blind taster
yeah,
and see which one is you.
I do one in the oven because that's how we normally do it, and then I do one on the grill and see what, and then take a slice of each.
Yeah.
And see if I can tell. Yeah.
Because we used to do it on the Acorn, and we would get that Acorn roaring. Like my ash pan, the ash pan on the Acorn pops off and it'll actually hang down on little handles. I had that thing so the handles on the outside of the ash pan were smoking, and the inside of the ash pan was 1,200 degrees Fahrenheit. It was just roaring. I think we had the pizza stone up to about 700 degrees.
Oh, that'll cook it fast.
And that was a little thicker crust.
I think in the oven we do 425 convection, 425 fan, as they would say in Britain.
Our new stove will do, I think, 500 or 550.
Oof, wow.
It's gas and convection and air fryer. It's 550.
Yeah,
I haven't done a pizza in there yet.
I think 5's the highest we can go on ours. Well, I don't know, Mark. I'm gonna think about this. I need to. I'll check in with Sarah one more time, see if she wants me to pull the trigger. Do we want a pellet grill? So this is. I just wanted to make sure, that you felt like this was something worth getting.
Oh, I don't. First off, I don't think the size is an issue.
Okay, right.
Because typically, like you just said, you're going to use this for long cooks.
Right.
Right. So if you're going to do ribs on it for 6 hours, you're going to do pork shoulders on it. You always have people come through your house. You always have kids coming over, and you're having parties, and you're having. I would get a wireless thermometer, a Wi-Fi thermometer, to measure your pit temp.
I've got because I've got the meter that we use for the meat.
Yeah.
You're saying an additional one to measure the
pit temp, to give you an alert if the fire goes out.
Got it.
Didn't you have an iGrill?
I do. I could use. Yeah.
Use the iGrill as your pit temp.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
Because it doesn't have to be the same tool. It just has to be. No. You want to know when the fire's gone out. If the fire's gone out.
Right.
Like we had that before with our charcoal, that the fire ran out in the middle of the night. It just snuffed itself out. So it's a matter of what I did then was I shut down that grill, fired up the oven, and tossed it in the oven because it had got the smoke. I just had to finish cooking the pork.
So a pit thermometer, and I'd pretty much be in business at that point, right? And a cover.
The only other thing I'll say, which is something that took me a while to find, is that they make pail liners. So if you look at that grill again, it has a little bucket on it.
Yep.
They make little foil liners that go into those buckets, which make it a lot easier to clean out.
Okay.
But yeah, that's it. And a cover.
Yeah, and a cover, and we're in business.
And then try and find lumberjack pellets. If you go to Costco, they're starting to sell pellets now under Kirkland, and I believe they're made by lumberjack. Bear Mountain's another one. I'm trying to remember the name of the store. Rural King, I think it is. RURAL King.
Okay.
And they sell a lot of lumberjack and a lot of other brands of pellets. And if you get serious about it, you can split a pallet with Uyghur.
That's true. I was just at Uyghur's place a couple weeks ago, so that's true.
Like it's I was counting the other day to see if I was getting low on pellets, and I think I counted 280 pounds of pellets in my basement.
Yeah.
So I think I'm good for a bit still.
Joe says seems to recall there's a whole modding community for the Pit Boss.
That's what got me into my Acorn, was that there was a whole modding community for the Acorn.
He says, I want to say that the mod, the RecTech temp controller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think RecTech came out with their own controller too, which seemed to be pretty good. The RecTech controller, I'm happy with it. It's been my, it made a huge difference to that thing.
Mark, always good to catch up with you, and always good to talk grilling. You always, and I do need to, I still need to get that Weber. I do need to get it.
You need enough room for 3. You need 3 fuels.
Yeah, I could do all 3.
Propane, charcoal, and pellet.
Yeah, I could do all 3. I just need to commit. If I do it, I need to commit to cooking more. I mean, we cook quite a bit, but what's been interesting is since the pandemic, we've actually cooked less on the grills. We've
Yes.
done more because we went to HelloFresh, and we that was kind of like those are pan or oven cooked. We could take them to the grill, but I just never did. And so it is HelloFresh prices went up a little bit. So it's one of those kinds of things. It's like, well, I need to do a better job of getting, bigger cuts of meat that I always think of you that I can, we can tag and
Well,
bag.
Here's another completely off the. I know we're trying to finish this up, but
No,
one
you're
last
good.
one to
You're
talk
good.
about.
No, you're good. You're good.
This was a mini omelet cooked on the smoker. So it was done with a little bit of hash brown on the bottom of a muffin tin, and these are those jumbo muffin tins, so like the 6 in a tray. So one hash brown chopped into 6 that I cooked for about 45 minutes, got a little crispy. I then tossed in egg mixture, bacon, and 2 types of
Bacon
cheese.
bits, just bacon bits.
Yeah. Yep. 2 types of cheese, and I want to say kielbasa or something, some other form of meat, I think it was. Oh, chicken. We had some chicken left over from a previous dinner. So I tossed in chicken and bacon and 2 types of cheese, and I smoked them on the grill. Am I going the right way? Wrong way. Smoked them on the grill, and I made these little omelets.
Yeah, little quiches.
Little quiches, like crustless quiches.
Yeah.
And then that was the breakfast with a something called a thyme pie, which is a Lebanese pita dish, and a couple of little quiches and a Caesar.
Yeah.
Or brunch, I guess it was.
Yeah.
But that was done on the smoker.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's indirect heat, so you don't have to worry about overcooking it. So I set it at 300, 325, whatever it was, and I had a nice, tasty wood-fired quiche.
Sounds good.
So it's not just the main protein. It's
right.
It's dessert. If you do the cookies, it's the cooking bacon on it without having to worry about flare ups. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You just lay the bacon right on the grill and let the thing cook at 300 degrees till it's done.
Mm-hmm.
The bacon on a regular chicken on a regular grill, if it hits the burners, it lights on fire. Indirect heat, you don't worry about it. You just let the thing go, and it just runs off to the side.
Yeah.
To me, that's one of the biggest benefits of a grill like that.
Well, sounds good. Again, you always get. I'm always happy that when you're here, and it always gets me motivated to make some kind of change in the way I'm, or add something to the way I grill, or something. It gets me fired up to do something different. Whether it was the awesome tube smoker that I've been using. Amazing. That's what it is. And the other day I just dumped some pellets down into the bottom on the side of my gas grill. Of course they lit up, right? But then there's not very many down there, so they kind of smoldered. So I kind of worked. I mean, it was direct heat, but it kind of worked. It added a little, add a little wood flavor and I was like, oh, it's not a bad way to. Then you just, take the leaf vac and blow the ashes out of there, and you're ready to go.
I had a fail like that the other day. I tossed some pellets on top of charcoal, and it gave it much more of an acrid taste than I wanted.
Yeah. Well, it gets hot faster too, right?
Yeah.
You lose that flame is a little bit hotter than the.
Well, so it was basically just snuffed out wood, not smoke.
Right.
And that was the problem.
Right.
But it was an experiment. We tried it, and we won't do it again.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's worth trying. This one worked well for me, although some of my pellets got water in the in the container, and they were all puffed out.
Yeah, they dissolve and they blew up.
Yeah, we just threw those in. Let's throw them in the fire. So, well, a couple reminders on the way out. Again, Mark, thanks for coming on. Hang tight with me for a second. Couple reminders on the way out. One is big thanks to our Patreon subscribers. If you do that on Patreon, thank you. If you made it to this far, you're dedicated, and I appreciate you. And you're a Patreon subscriber. Thanks for doing. Hungry. Yeah, exactly. Well, I hope if you're listening to this, I hope you get some value out of it. I always do, and it's always good to go through it. If you want to leave us a message, if you got a show idea, if there's somebody you want me to interview, I'm looking for some interviews. So if you got somebody you're looking for me to interview, Got some new ones coming up, some new folks that we haven't had on before over the next couple weeks, 3-4 weeks here. Send me an email, jim@theaverageguy.tv, or you can leave a voicemail, homegadgetgeeks.com. Join our Discord group, theaverageguy.tv/Discord. Lots of good conversations. Sorry, I've been a little absent from that between work and all the family stuff. And I got one more family thing to do here in the middle of June as we say goodbye to my mom. It's affecting my weekends, but we'll be back. More of those kinds of things coming up. And so I appreciate you guys keeping the conversation going on there. Of course, the AverageGuy.tv platform powered by Maple Grove Partners gets secure, reliable, high-speed hosting from people that you know and you trust. For more information, you can get a hosting plan, $10. Inflation fighting $10. Whatever you need, Christian's got a plan for you. He'll get you set up. Check out maplegrovepartners.com. And he's always very, very grateful for your business. We are live every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central. Although I think I do have, I did have one scheduled for next week that I think I'm going to need to move, just because we'll be leaving on Friday for the funeral. But generally, we're here every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern out here at theaverageguy.tv/live. Love to have you a part of the community. We've got a lot of things coming up, so stay tuned, stay subscribed. Subscribe right there on YouTube if that's where you're at, so you never miss an episode. About 1,500 of you subscribed out there, and love to have you as part of the crew as well. I think with that, we'll say goodbye, everybody. Mark, thanks again for hanging out with me tonight. Always good to have you on. Always good to catch up. It always reminds me of Mike when we get together and have these conversations. Good memories there.
Yeah, and it always seemed to fly by, even when I worry that I'm not going to have enough to talk about for.
No. Listen, I can stretch anything. And you got a lot of great. I mean, it's just a ton of fun to talk through. Like I said, you always inspire me. I want to do more. I don't. Part of my weak area in this is prep. You do a lot of prep, and I need to learn how to do prep better. Well,
I tend to do it sort of last minute.
Yeah, but you still, like, you don't think an hour is prep, but I do. And
right.
So,
true.
Right. So I just need to do a better job of Tim, thanks. Uncle Marv, take care. We'll see you. Uncle Marv's coming on in a couple weeks too. Yeah, you don't think an hour's, for me right now, an hour is still a lot of prep. So I need to just break that mentally. I need to break that.
Yeah, I think you maybe start off with things that.
Yep, it happens.
Start off with things that don't take a lot of prep.
Yeah.
Right, like 15 minutes to prep up some pork loin in a marinade and chop up some pineapple. That's the easy one.
Yeah.
Don't try looking at doing the brisket and the jerky that takes hours and hours of prep and marinades and tossing and. If I do a pork shoulder, I rub it, I season it, and I toss it on. There's very, very little prep on that. I might do that night before, or I might do it the night before just so I don't want to do it at 6 a.m.
Right.
Or 5 a.m. or whatever, putting it on.
Yeah.
But a lot of my stuff is not prepped. I don't do a lot of marinades. I typically tend to season stuff and then toss them on the grill.
Well, the pellet grill will give me some more control, which I don't. I kind of have that today in the gas. I can get that turned down pretty low, but it's not a controlled temperature like you'd get from the pellets.
No, and really, the big oxymoron, if I'm using that right, is that if your oven in your house had a display like a pellet grill does, you get people freaking out because they're saying my oven's not cooking at 350.
Yeah. True.
You put your thermometer in your oven, like an instant read, like your meter, right? If you put it through a potato and stuck it in your oven at 350, and you watch the temperature range of your oven going up and down,
yeah.
you're probably 320 to 370,
yep.
Right? But it just says 350.
Right.
The big issue with pellet grills that I've always seen is that they're too truthful. They tell you what the temperature is all the time.
Yeah.
So you set it at 350 and it goes up to 380 and then goes back down to 310 or 300 and then back up to 350 and then goes past it because it's feeding wood in and it's blowing on it and it's getting it hot and then it stops feeding it and waits for the temperature to drop and And people get into it and like, well, my oven does 350 and it does 350 all the time. Like, well, it doesn't. It just tells you it does.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you realize that part of it, that you're going to have swings, like mine tonight when I cooked the brats went from, I set it at 370, it went up to 416 and back down to 348. Don't really care. Like it's somewhere around 360, 370, still cooking. I'm cooking till it's done.
Well, and I'm towards the end, you're checking it.
Right.
And of course,
you're
then
checking the meat. You're not checking the.
Yeah. Well, but the temperature drops at that point, right? And
yeah, every time you open the lid, temperature drops.
Right. But the temp on the stove doesn't change. It still says you're right. Now, the reason I saw that one time is I went to reset, like I had it set for 400. Yeah. And I really wanted 425. So I reset it and it had been 400. And when I reset it, it went back to like 350. And I was like, what the, like, it had gone down, right? When I was resetting it. So.
Or you set it, you're at 400 and you say, well, I want to go to 425 now. And you hit the button, all of a sudden it goes beep, I'm there. Like, well, how can you be there? Because you set, but it's already there because it was already on the upswing.
Yeah.
But that's the thing to remember is that you don't need 0.1 degree to cook something properly.
Right.
You're cooking at an average temperature.
Right.
And you're cooking until the meat's done. You don't care what it's cooking in as long as it's not 150 when you want 350. If it's 350 or 375 or 325, it works.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but no, the Pit Boss is a great little, not little, it's a great grill to start with.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they sell a crap ton of them.
I bet they do.
Oh, you're muted.
Oh, no, I just don't think I was talking loud enough. Okay, live folks, I'm going to start yawning here, so we're going to let you guys go. You can hear me, right? Mark, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Thanks for coming out. And Joe, Tim, Uncle Marv, who's here earlier. I think I saw Ken a little bit earlier. Thanks for coming out, guys. We'll see you next week. No, actually probably in 2 weeks at this point. Take care.